Okay, so we have tonight, and do you want to sit over there?
This cool camera will pick me up when I talk, I think.
Yeah, it does.
That's so cool. I really want to find out what this is for my own hybrid meetings.
I'll talk to you about it.
No worries. So thank you all for having me. My name is Nichole Rogers. I work in equity and inclusion at the City of Albuquerque, and I am the mayor's liaison for the Black community. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about just how to do some community engagement and recruiting for your CPC, thinking about diversity. And really it's a toolkit that I emailed out, and we'll pull it up on the screen at the bottom of this page. Yep, scroll down to the bottom, there's some more toolkits there. Yeah.
And one of the things that I was going to do yesterday was send out a link to that document with all those tools. And
perfect.
I didn't get it, but I will send that along with the link to the meeting minutes.
Perfect. That sounds perfect. So we'll just go through them here so everybody can see them. And really, it's just a toolkit. You can literally walk through line by line and filling that in. First one we're gonna go to is the engagement, inclusive community engagement guide. And this is just a guide that helps us begin to think about how to engage our community in a way that is welcoming to a lot of folks, and really how to engage community appropriately, especially if the goal is to recruit some more diversity to your CPC teams, which I think is always our goal for any of our teams. So as we scroll through this, and I won't go through every single page, but the one that I really want to go through are meeting structure and things of that nature for public meetings like this. So if you scroll down, you'll see a whole bunch of things about how to empower folks. These are our values at the city that really guide, I'll scroll up just a little bit, we'll stop there at the values, that really guide how we should be running our meetings. So of course they're accessible. So like I said about making sure meeting minutes, notes, agendas, all of that are available and easy to reach. So I love that conversation you were just having about that, because it's important that accessibility is very important. Responsive, so that obviously our community, our constituents are the closest to actually having solutions to the issues that we are talking about in these meetings. And so really just keeping that at the forefront of our minds. And of course, being inclusive, making sure people feel welcomed and like they belong in this space with you. Accountable, like who are we accountable to? Always our community. So we talk a lot about accountability. Transparency. This is really important and something we're really striving for in city government and just government. The lack of transparency is sometimes something we hear a lot from community. And so just making sure that community engagement is actually a thoughtful process that's also transparent. So how decisions are made, by who, when, all of those things, being open and honest about issues that we're having, talking through those as a group, and just being transparent about those things. We can go down a little more. And so I'm not gonna fail, just go to the public meeting one, because that's more, there we go, public meetings. So your meetings are subject to the Public Meeting Act, which I'm sure you guys are all pretty and fully aware of, the rules and regs for that. But when you're planning the meeting, like who helps this CPC do your agendas and planning your meetings? Who does that primarily?
The council members.
So all the council members, or just the chair?
When I can get help from the council members, yeah.
So mostly now your chair, basically you.
Mostly right now, yeah.
Okay. So that's something that we definitely want to work on. Shouldn't just be your chair. You could talk about that at the end of the meetings for the next meeting, at least a way to get input from all the council members about what happens at your meetings.
Actually, talking about transparency, I was just about to put a link into chat but we have a online form for the community to go ahead and send suggested agenda items.
For your community, but what about people here? They do this, they use the same form?
Oh,
or?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a public, and I've advertised it for several months, and I've gotten 2 responses.
Yeah. So I think it's just, and again, these are just ways to make sure we're being inclusive in our meetings, of course, of the people that are also in the room with you and on Zoom. Should have a say in that as well. And then does your process reflect, honor, and welcome community members into the space? And how does that happen? So how does that happen now? How do you honor and welcome community members now?
You mean inviting them into the meeting and
so like me or anybody that's just coming to these meetings as a visitor or a first timer, how does that happen? Like, how do you welcome them into the space?
well, I know typically they go around the room and introduce themselves.
During introductions?
Yeah, do introductions.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I think that might be a good thing to resume. One of the problems that we face is as we've tried to come back to the hybrid and in person, we've forgotten that in the past, you could look everybody in the eye all the way around the table. You could wave at them. And the webinar format did not allow that. That's why I've asked for the meeting format.
Yeah.
And I think that we can encourage people who are participating to enable their video so that we can know them if we meet them on the street, things like that.
Okay. So just something to think about. Maybe some groups that I've gone to have a buffer at the beginning of their meetings to do kind of just an informal, where we have time to just talk and fellowship and before we start the business. Because a lot of times it's just straight to the business, not a lot of getting to know each other, not a lot of relationship building, right? And so how can we do more of that and build that into our meetings so that way when people are coming in, it's a more welcoming space. I think, not that this wasn't, I'm just saying. I think relationship building, especially of your CPC members and people that come to your meetings regularly, is really important. This is just that relationship the relationship building. Do you have a lot of time for that? Doesn't have to be Mike answering all the time.
Yeah,
anybody else?
No, just, I mean, a lot of it is time-wise, people logging in. I know Mike makes himself available beforehand, but, you know, it's hard when you're trying to get stuff done and then jump onto the meeting. So, not always.
Yeah, what about anybody online? Thoughts or, hi Maria, I see you logged in there. Anybody online have any thoughts?
Please, that's why we have a meeting. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to just talk to y'all for 30 minutes, so let's.
I tried to, with my schooling, like from like C&M and since I'm going to be UNM, I've been trying to encourage other people.
Yeah. What's some of the feedback you get when you tell people you want them to come to these meetings? What do they say?
It's like they're saying that's interesting. I haven't tried UNM yet, but this year I hope so. But they thought like this is interesting. Maybe I should join in. Yeah. So I got one person, but I have to see it on Monday.
Nice. All right. Awesome. So maybe that could be something we could work on as a team. Like, how can we build some relationship building time into these meetings? Because that's just as important as talking about all the things that are wrong with our community, right? But really focusing in on relationship building, because that's really something that we also need in our community. I don't know, how many of you know your neighbors? Well, yeah, it makes sense. You guys are here, so you care. So you know your neighbor, right? Like some things, just little things like that make a big difference. All right, so your venue setup and timely participation of these community, to truly enable the participation. So I think what you all are doing with the hybrid model does help with participation. So if I want to come, I'm running late, but I can't get there in time, I can hop on the Zoom and I can do it via Zoom, listening on the phone, or here in person. So I think that all helps. Couple things about your hybrid model, though, is just also, it is hard to juggle people online and people in person, making sure that we're engaging the folks online and that you feel like you're just a part of the meeting as you would if you're here in the room physically with us. So there's definitely some best practices for that, you know, we try to go through with our chairs. How do you advertise the meetings? So that's besides, you know, the next bullet point talks a lot about how do you advertise for the meetings. So how do you advertise for the meetings now?
Well, we put them in the commander's newsletter. Some of us post them on Nextdoor, and we put it in the center newsletter.
Do you track if you get any interest through those marketing avenues? Like if you're not getting anybody from Nextdoor, if you're not, yeah.
I advertise the heck out of Southeast CPC. I talk to a lot of residents and business owners and a lot of good people.
Yeah.
I'm always talking it's a good ball, you know.
Yeah. What do you think is a barrier to them not coming?
Actually, I've heard from all the individuals that I've spoken to, residents and residential and business stakeholders. Really positive, like they're interested about it. I'll usually turn them on to either City or Mike and tell them like, hey, there was one, that I'm not going to say any names, but there was an organization that I'm working with now. And I mentioned the CPC, and maybe it's this. They had knowledge of the CPC, maybe their experiences was from when they first started years ago, but they didn't really care
to join. Do they give any indication of what? Transparency, it won't hurt anyone's feelings.
Right. Well, there are organizations that's really embedded in this community, and they're doing work on something. They're doing work that actually really helps me out.
Yeah.
And they're growing. They just didn't have confidence to take.
That makes sense. So we need to do some
individuals I spoke to, like the average resident that lives at Copper and San Mateo. I mean, the reaction and they were supportive.
Yeah.
They liked the idea.
That's good. So yeah, so maybe there's a way we can build on that. So when we're out, when we're talking, you know, getting their contact information for an email list. Do you have a CPC, not just your members, but just a list of people who may have shown interest but just can't come right now that you can keep sending constant information to?
Yes.
Okay, that's awesome.
That's really also just, yeah, hey, Archie. I was going to say, if you're sitting back there, speak up, because the audio range is 18 feet. That there's overhead noise. That's why I wanted the presenters up here.
So it's hard to hear Luke over there. Is that right, Archie?
Yep, it was very hard.
18 feet is pushing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
No worries.
These are the hybrid model themes that we have. But
so that's why I'm experimenting with the setup of the room, and that's why I have the seats closer instead of back there. I would like you folks to be here so that we can see your faces too.
Well, and then these are some of the things that can help with, you know, community with norms of things that we do in our meetings now. Because like you said, we're just trying this for the first time. So I would also think of maybe some other ways we haven't advertised to reach the audience that you want to reach. So we'll talk about that in the next toolkit. If you want to go back to the website, we're gonna go through our inclusive outreach guide, and this is a step-by-step literal guide you guys we could print out and actually walk through. I don't think we have enough time in 30 minutes to do that today, but I do want to go through that with you. So let's see. I think it's on the net. It's another link on the website, and it's the worksheet for, yep, OE&I worksheet right there. Awesome. So if time lends itself another meeting, I could come back and we can literally fill out this whole form. And so what it is, it's a guide for how to engage community. And people are like, I don't need a guide for that. Well, it actually helps us to begin to think about what we don't want to do when we're talking about engagement. So what type of communication or community engagement do you want to engage in? And so there's different ones like, are you literally just inviting people in to sit and to listen? Or do we really want input? Do we want community to own this process of the community policing? Or is it really just we're tokenizing our community? Yeah.
You can always say, Mike, time out and let somebody else talk. That's okay. But one of the things that I've been concerned about for several years is that the meetings were too many presentations. Mm-hmm. We call it in the military fire hose. Here's everything you need to know. Mm-hmm. Instead of having a dialogue, a conversation. And so that's one reason for having the meeting format tonight instead of the webinar format.
Yeah,
we're trying to get back and forth communication.
Yes, absolutely. We definitely want people on Zoom to be able to communicate and to interact and to talk with us, for those of us that are in here. So what I'd like to do is schedule maybe a time where we have more time to go through this and teach about, community ownership versus marginalization or even tokenizing our community. I mean, like, well, we have to have community input, so you have to be here. We need you to be here, but we really don't care about what you say. We don't want that. And then what your goal is. So you'd be surprised. I've sat with departments and they're like, yeah, no, we're in the tokenization mode, which happens, the truth, especially when we talk about diversity. We want to have one Asian, one Black, like that's tokenization, right? Where we're just trying to put people on so we can check the box that we have one from each of the groups. And that's what we don't want, right? We want to go to ownership. And then also considering, should you be providing your advertising in other languages? If you do want to get a diverse population of folks, are we advertising these CPC meetings in other languages?
Very good point.
Although we are going to start make our brochure in Spanish soon.
Yeah, so our office is all about language access. So we actually have a list of languages most spoken in our neighborhoods. And so we can give you a list for the Southeast. Here are the languages that we see the most, that we get requests for the most. Maybe we should think about translating them in that language to match the community.
Yeah, the difficulty is going to be if they can't speak English, watching the media translation is very expensive. So.
Yeah, well, but we have some tools for that. So there are some tools for closed captioning on Zoom that you can add that can be that will be translated, that automatically do that for you if you have closed captioning on. They can change the language to help with that for folks that are online. You're right, in person, yeah, definitely. But we do have resources for that too in the city that can help you all with that. The CPCs wouldn't necessarily have to incur that cost, because the idea is we do want diverse, and the truth is in the Southeast, a lot of people don't speak English. English isn't their primary language. They probably do speak a little English too, but it's not their primary language. So that's a big part. The other thing is, how equipped is your team to deal with open conflict? I saw some faces. That tells me there's something there. So how do we do that as a CPC, as a Southeast Command CPC? How do we openly deal with conflict do we have a process for that? Because these topics that we're talking about will beg that. We'll bring up, like the stuff we were talking about is hard stuff.
What topic?
Any topics that come up in policing could be, I mean, some of the things that you guys are tackling when you're talking about how to.
You know what, last month, I don't know if everyone was tuned in the last month, I made a statement last month where I felt that this CPC was not fulfilling the mission of the CPC. Like, and I still feel that,
Mm-hmm.
but looking at what can I do better? Maybe it's a change in my own process to where not just for the board members, but for anyone that attends, what I want is I want a response. I want feedback. I want criticism. I want, hey, have you thought about this? I want ideas for the initiatives that I have in place. And it's hard if I can only talk about it at the CPC meeting in a 10-minute spiel for someone to process that and give me that feedback right away. So I'm thinking maybe 2 weeks before, I could write a memo summarizing what's happened in the last month and what we're doing about it. You guys have some time to digest that and then provide me with that feedback, because I truly feel all these meetings, I have not seen one recommendation. I have not had any type of even criticism. And I'm welcome to criticism. Like, hey, you guys need to do this better. I haven't got anything from the CPC. It's frustrating, because I know that you guys care about this community, I do too, but I look at what the mission is of the CPCs. It's to look and analyze and critique and look at what we're doing and say, yes, good to go, or let's try something different.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I know that's hard. All right, so I think before we respond to that, you probably wanted to, let's just take a breath to digest and really hear what you said.
And I don't know if you consider that conflict, but just my sticking point is maybe we could try, and I could work with the board, but because I was thinking, well, I already have a newsletter, but the actual ops and initiatives that I'm doing, if I can get that to you guys a few weeks in advance, maybe that's some meeting time during the meeting that I can get that, and it can turn into a recommendation.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion.
We do have in the past, as a result of our summits, CPC summits and the strategic plan, we had a goal of having more regular community discussions called working groups and committees, and those have sort of fallen by the wayside, because I'm going to tell you there's an awful lot of workload going into just trying to do monthly meetings. Awful lot of work. And we need to spread that wealth. And one way to do it is to have regular, it can be in person and Zoom, hybrid meetings that go online. You've got to speak your mind and be accountable to the public, transparent, and say, I'm really frustrated with the commander's response to such and such. We put it up there and other people can weigh in, then maybe they will be encouraged to come to the next discussion.
Yeah, I think,
but that's something that I'm trying to work on, is get these working groups. My big thing is homelessness.
Yeah, that's a big, yeah.
So
I think what's hard with committees, and just from someone sitting on a lot of these groups, it's like another meeting to name the meeting, to name the committee, to then, type of thing. So I like the idea of maybe there's a way to meet in the middle with that. Like, instead of having more meetings and more committees, we restructure the meeting so that your suggestion is perfect. You send it 2 weeks, you send the stuff people need to read through and process a couple weeks before, and then your time on the agenda, your 30 minutes is, all right, let's go over those reports. I've already sent you the monthly crime report. I've already sent you the use of force reports. I've sent you the breakdown of the things that you want people to give you feedback on. And then your 30 minutes is just, all right, y'all, but that puts the onus on you to make sure you read those things and look over those things before that meeting, so that that 30-minute block can be spent giving you that feedback and giving you that.
And Nichole, I don't want to hijack your
No,
time.
please. No, this is what I want.
Every month we provide numbers. Numbers, but I want to tell the story too.
Behind the
feedback
numbers.
to the story of why we're doing what we're doing. The Muslim homicides, our response to that. I'd like some time to tell you our response to that. So God forbid if something like that ever happens again, maybe a recommendation came out of it. Now I understand that a lot of these issues, it ends in police getting involved. That's the end result. But a lot of the underlying reasons for those it has nothing to do with the police.
No.
And so I understand there's a place to bring in, you know what, we need to bring in this organization, or we need to bring in this agency to come give us a presentation, because, you know, those are root causes, and the end result ends in crime. So I get that there should be a place to have those types of presentations. But again, I go back, and I apologize if I sound like a broken record. I go back to what is the mission of the CPCs? And I think we need to get back to that.
What is the mission of the CPC?
To know what your police department is doing, what operating record, what initiatives we're doing, and give recommendations on that.
Okay.
And since I've been here in October, I just have not felt that.
Right.
I'm an attendee here. I've been coming for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
I think what you said, I'd like to see.
Mm-hmm.
I can come with more questions. Yes, I know my brother used to be a police, involved in the police. He wanted the same thing, because he never got the feedback from the community. And they don't know what's going on. All you're dealing with, it's what you just said, the whys. Why did this police unit do this?
And
Why
I feel,
do we address that?
And I feel selfish, and I hope this doesn't sound bad. I feel selfish, like I just want to focus on APD, but like homelessness. I mean, there's so much that is involved in homelessness, which is fine, and we may need some education on homelessness, all these variables and factors. But at the end of the day, how are we dealing with the homelessness? How are we treating them? What recommendations do we need to do?
Right.
And I feel selfish saying that, but that's what I feel the purpose of this. This isn't a D6, this isn't a ECHO, this isn't a neighborhood association. This is a CPC, and you guys have a charge, right?
Makes sense. Yeah,
So I want to ask a quick question. Can everybody out there virtually hear the conversation? Okay.
It's getting better.
Yes.
Okay, speak up.
Thank you,
But
Archie.
you know what? I've been here since October, and I haven't felt that. I haven't heard it, I haven't seen it. But you know what? I'm going to step up and say it's on me too. So I want to try this to where I give you guys what I'm doing, you know, in a couple of it. So you have more than just 10 minutes to process and say, well, I'd like to give you this feedback, and maybe we could get back to the mission that we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So
Appreciate
Nichole, I think you might have interpreted what I said as a bureaucracy, the committees, the working groups.
No.
But what they're intended is a community conversation
No, I
to
get
hear
it.
all perspectives.
I have extensive experience with these types of groups where you have subcommittees and all that. It's just sometimes I don't think, just from what I'm witnessing here today and what I'm feeling, we're not ready for that. We need to get this committee that's like, you know, to where everybody feels like we're meeting that mission before we start trying to add more meetings and committees. So I think just from my expert opinion on this, you know, before I came to the city, my job at UNM Hospital was what you're doing here is called shared governance. It's a model that's pulled from hospital education, and what's called is shared governance, and that's the term. That's what we're doing here, is sharing the governance of our communities with our police force, right? And in that model, subcommittees definitely are part of that model, but you have to have a really good functioning main committee for subcommittees to even be effective. So I think we can get there, but I think we need to do a couple things. And it's not, please don't take it as a disrespect to the work that you've done or the work that anybody's done up before this, because that's not my intention. My intention is just to get us thinking differently about how we can run these meetings. So number one, people want to show up and they want to give that feedback, because that's hard. People, I mean, let's be real. Are these meetings like fun for y'all to come? Like, are they effective? I mean, I'm hearing that maybe not, but we need, I think we owe it to our police and to our community to be more effective in this space.
I don't think we're being effective, but there's a purpose for this.
And keeping that as our true north.
Especially in the Southeast Heights, especially here with all the issues that we face. I mean, there's such a purpose in that. And all of you that are involved, like, you have my utmost respect and appreciation for what you do and being involved, because there is such a need and purpose for you guys.
For sure, and it's a lot of preaching to the choir sometimes, because y'all are the ones that are here doing the work, showing up all the time, but wanting to get to that. So anybody online, just to be respectful of the folks online. Any comments, thoughts, feelings, ideas coming out from you all?
Well, hi, my name is Sumathi. I've been just attending these last couple of months, just more as just wanting to watch. I just moved to New Mexico last year, and so I'm trying to figure out the lay of the land kind of thing. CPC is definitely something that I'm interested in joining, but probably not until after I'm retired, which is about 3 years away yet. But I wanted to get kind of a sense of what is going on in the community, because from where I moved from to here, crime is much worse here, much more violent crime here. And I was just trying to use these meetings to observe and figure out why and what are people doing about it? Is anybody doing anything about it? So that's what I've been using these meetings for. Apologize that I'm not on video, but I don't have a laptop at home, so I just have a desktop.
No worries. Thank you for sharing. Can I ask a follow-up question?
Sure.
Sure. Do you feel like you've attending these for the last couple of months, you feel like that you're getting that information about what we're doing?
Yeah, I do. I feel better about it because when we first moved here, it was so overwhelming because the crime was so much worse. And I thought, wow, what are they doing in the homeless situation as well? And so I feel better about here. I feel like, okay, there are people that are noticing, are engaging, are trying to change things. And so that's made me feel better about moving here. So
good. That's good. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Roheen, did I see you unmute?
I did. I just want to say, I am now part of the CPC itself. This is the first Southeast CPC meeting I've been able to attend. I attended a few on the Northwest back when I lived out there, but I've been busy at work recently. So now that I've moved here, this is where I am, and I'm interested in giving the feedback and having these discussions. I just haven't, I'm coming in this pretty fresh, so I have held back a little bit just to observe at first what's happening.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I'm sorry, Diana, I didn't see your hand. Please.
Hi, thank you. No problem. Yeah, I just wanted to say, hi everyone, my name is Diana Lopez, and I'm a health promotion specialist with the New Mexico Department of Health. And I am tasked as a health promotion specialist with working with community on various community programs ranging from substance use prevention to child and maternal health and violence prevention, a whole bunch of stuff. I'm located in Albuquerque. I'm one of about 3 health promotion specialists who work in the metro area. And myself and my colleague, Matt Kroskian, we've been attending the CPCs for a little while now, maybe for a few months. But I just wanted to say how much I absolutely appreciate this conversation. I've heard some really great things from the various CPCs. Again, I try to attend all of them. But I do have a question. I was wondering if the other CPCs were going to be moving towards this sort of format instead of the webinar format. I would hope so. I think that this is absolutely wonderful and a great way to interact. And I'm just really looking forward to the interaction that's going to come from this kind of open forum. And adding to that one question about the webinar format, are community members like myself, representing obviously DOH and my work in the community, are we welcome to attend in person, or are we trying to keep maybe the number of people in the room to a smaller number? Those were my questions. And I just want to say kudos to the work and the conversation that's going on today. I feel like it's such a great movement forward into welcoming that community voice.
Let me address that really quickly. Until this meeting today, I did say that we were going to limit it to 20 attendees, not knowing who would show up. And for 3 meetings, hardly anybody showed up in person, even though I kind of twisted arms. So I would simply ask that you be respectful of others' health concerns. And that's why I tried to set up the room this way. And we're hoping to have more in-person participation. You can shake hands when you walk out into the parking lot afterwards.
Yeah, and I think that's the right answers. We don't want to discourage participation in any way, shape, or form. So if you absolutely want to be in person, I think people know the risks now that we've been with COVID for 3 years already. Yeah. So I think we can leave that up to you as adults to understand those risks and those protocols for coming in person, but we don't want to at all ever discourage folks from coming either way that they're comfortable. So yes, we'd love to see you in person, Diana. And community members are absolutely welcome and can come anytime, and my time's going up. So let's take the last 2 questions because I'm getting the hurry up with the time. Maria.
Hey guys, sorry I was surprised that I was on camera today because this is the first time. So I was like, you guys get to watch me cooking dinner a bit there. But I wanted to say kudos to the Southeast CPC for really thinking about this and bringing Nichole in because she's amazing. And really, I always, in our ECHO sessions, talk about being hard on the issues, but easy on the people. And so like, this is a great example of like really thinking about how we want to do it. And I always think that the CPCs, our ECHO sessions always have like a specific topic and a specific case. And there's a reason for that, but I always feel like the CPC is the place where everybody has a space to talk about whatever their concern is and to really give feedback on whatever the issues are of the time. And sometimes that's more timely than the ECHO program can do. And so, I mean, Nichole, I'm going to be calling you for some feedback on what we're doing and how we're doing it as well. But I just wanted to thank you guys for thinking about this. And, you know, if there's any way I can partner with you guys more effectively, you just say the word.
Thank you, Maria. Appreciate that. We go way back.
Who does Maria work with?
Maria.
I introduced myself. I'm Maria. Whoops. Oh, no, I am still. I work with the Public Safety ECHO program that is focused on the Nob Hill University area, but really anybody can attend it. So if anybody wants info, just email mwolfe@cabq.gov.
And Archie, Maria's being very modest, but Project ECHO is something that started at HSC, Health Science Center here in Albuquerque. That's a national, or actually international model now that was used in healthcare, and that's where I know Maria from our healthcare days. And it's really an effective model that worked in healthcare to be able to help our specialists there give training to specialists and doctors and providers, even nursing, in our rural areas. So it helped us just be able to share best practices, all kinds of amazing things, and we're bringing that model to public safety, which is really amazing. So
awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Angelo.
I have a question though. Cause I know like since I'm like the youngest of all the members, and it's kind of hard for get younger people like my age to involve like this kind of stuff. I was wondering if you guys have any tips for me.
Yeah, I think for youth, definitely that's one of my big focuses is how do we engage more youth. I'm also in charge of the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council. So we do a lot of engagement trying to get people onto that council. And I'll tell you straight up, youth think these meetings are boring.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get, and that's why I'm just being real. I think that's part of why if we can restructure the meeting where we have some relationship building stuff in before we do the business, it helps with that kind of stuff. It helps with people wanting to feel like we have camaraderie, we have team, we're all in this together, right? The one Albuquerque theme. So I would definitely say we need to shake it up and add some fun to these meetings, because it's not just the CPC. I think it's just in general, sometimes these things can be really dry. And it was the same at the hospital when we were rolling out shared governance. We literally had to build in things that made nurses want to come to these meetings instead of going to their breaks or their lunches. And that was really hard to do. And so we had to build in some of that time. So we can work on some of that stuff as well, on how to engage youth. But I think we really just need to make it more friendly and welcoming for youth to want to come. So I think that has to be a part of the conversation if we want more youth to come.
So Angel says he has a comment.
Sure.
And I'd like to
turn it over to
honor our other guests and our other guests.
Yes. Sorry.
With enough time tonight.
Yes.
So like my only comment was like going back to what Luke was saying. I run commander language. I run commander for over 2 years now, and every time I came at him with an idea or any suggestions, he's always been very receptive and very willing to help me bring that to the community. So what I heard a little while ago was a call to action, not just for the CPC meeting, not just for the members, but for the community as well. He will listen to you guys and he will try to help bring anything to the community, because I know this man and that's just the type of person he is.
That's awesome. And I'm willing to come more. This is my neighborhood, so I'm invested in this neighborhood. I bought a house here. My kids are here. So I'll make sure.
Mike is saying that he wants to step down his chair, you know? I mean, I'm just saying, he wants to get over.
But I'm sure there's probably people who've been here longer than I that would want that opportunity. I don't want to come in and do that, but I will pledge to be here more and to maybe we need a CPC, Southeast CPC retreat. Like I love retreats. I'm good at them. It's a way to build relationships, to bond each other, and really do some strategic planning around what you want to see in your group.
Let's not make it about eating and drinking, though. We had one.
Well, you have to have food and not drinks, but have to have some food.
But so.
Thank you all for your time, and I'll get my contact information in the chat. So anybody, please reach out if there's anything I can do to help, and I'll make sure to come to these regularly too myself.
Thank you so much, Nichole.
Thank you.